Hey, I'm Kelly. If you love cars as much as I do, you're in the right place. From drifting car days to uncovering the world's most iconic rides. Gear up and subscribe to Drive with Kelly for non-stop car fun. Most riders who buy this bike never intended to keep it. It was supposed to be practical, a placeholder while they saved up for something more serious. But then, something unexpected happens. The upgrade itch just goes quiet. Years pass and they are still on the same bike, and when they actually sit down and think about it, they cannot honestly explain why they would want anything else. By the time we get to number 1, that is going to make complete sense. But it starts here. This is where most riders overspend. Number 10. Price. The V-Strom 650 starts at around $9,299. The XT variant sits just above $10,999. Write those numbers down, then look at everything sitting next to it on the market. The Kawasaki Versys 1000 starts between $13,000 and $14,000. The Africa Twin crosses $14,000. The BMW F850 GS pushes past $12,000 on base trim. That is a $4,000 to $5,000 gap for bikes that on real roads, not spec sheets, real roads are not dramatically better. Here is what that gap actually looks like in your life. It is crash bars and panniers. It is a full gear kit. It is fuel for months of weekend riding. The V-Strom does not force you to choose between the bike and everything that makes riding worth doing in the first place. Suzuki has been refining this platform since the 2003 model year. The savings are not a compromise. They are the entire point, and that money flows directly into what you will actually remember, which is the riding itself. But price only matters if the bike backs it up. And this is where things start to get genuinely interesting. Number 9. The engine. This one surprises people every single time. It is a 645cc liquid-cooled V-twin. Around 67 horsepower and 46 pound-feet of torque. On paper, modest. In practice, almost perfectly matched to what real adventure riding actually demands. The V-twin character gives you strong low-end pull without having to hunt for the power band. Out of corners, up long climbs, through traffic, it responds cleanly every time. At highway speeds, it is settled, not straining. And because this engine shares its core DNA with the SV651, of the most respected platforms in all of motorcycling, you are building on a foundation with millions of proven miles behind it. Suzuki updated the fuel mapping in recent years, fattening the torque curve in the low to mid-range. That is exactly where this kind of riding actually lives, not at redline on a closed track. On loaded stretches of highway, on gravel passes, on roads you have never been down before. When an engine is this well matched to its purpose, everything downstream changes. Including something most riders never think about until it is already too late. Number 8. Fuel economy. Owners consistently report 50 to 55 miles per gallon under normal riding conditions, but this is not really an efficiency story. It is a freedom story, and those two things are not the same. The V-Strom carries a 5.3-gallon tank. At 50 miles per gallon, that is roughly 260 miles before a stop. On a loaded touring bike, that number completely reshapes a trip. Remote routes become reachable. The low-level anxiety of watching the fuel gauge just disappears. Push harder on the highway and economy drops as it does on anything. But even then, 200-plus miles of range holds. That matters specifically when you are deep into unfamiliar roads with no signal, no backup plan, and the bike still has distance left in it. That is not a small thing. Reliability is next, and this is where things really begin to separate. Number 7. Reliability. This is what separates the V-Strom from almost everything else at this price point. Owners regularly document 100,000 miles on these engines without internal repairs. That is not marketing language. That is forum threads, odometer photos, and real people describing what they found, or more accurately, did not find inside the engine at high mileage. The design is deliberately simple. Valve checks are infrequent, fuel injection is stable, oil changes are easy, parts are stocked at dealers nationwide. Any competent mechanic can service this bike without specialist equipment or factory diagnostics. Reliability is not exciting until it is the only thing that matters. That is the moment broken down somewhere remote, your trip dissolving, waiting for a tow, finally understanding what a reliable bike costs you when you do not have one. The V-Strom does not put you there. It starts, it runs, it comes home. And once you have felt that kind of confidence, something else quietly changes too. Number 6. Comfort. This is where bigger bikes consistently get it wrong. The riding position is neutral and upright. Handlebars placed so your arms are not reaching or cramped. Weight distributed where it should be through the seat, not through your wrists. After 3 hours on a sport bike or an overbuilt adventure machine, that distinction is the only thing you are thinking about. The windscreen provides real protection, not decorative protection. It deflects wind up and over your chest at highway speeds, eliminating the buffeting that accumulates invisibly over long days. It adjusts for rider height, which sounds minor until you have spent a full day behind one that does not fit your body at all. The stock seat is firm and supportive. Some riders add aftermarket padding for multi-day tours, and the options are everywhere. But the baseline ergonomics were designed for distance from the very start. This bike does not just tolerate long days. It was built entirely around them, and that design philosophy goes even further with one specific variant. Number 5. The XT package. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Both the standard V-Strom 650 and the XT share a 19-inch front wheel. The difference is not the size, it is the construction. The standard runs a cast unit. The XT swaps to wire-spoked rims, and that change is more consequential than it sounds. Spoked wheels flex slightly under impact. That compliance translates into noticeably better feel on rough and unpaved surfaces. The rims are tubeless compatible, so you can run standard tires or swap to proper adventure rubber when the route demands it. The XT also adds a beak-style front fender that keeps debris off the forks on gravel and dirt. None of this makes the V-Strom a trail bike. It is not trying to be. What it does is push your comfort threshold further before hesitation kicks in. On an adventure bike, that threshold is everything. But capability without real-world range of use is just a spec sheet, and this bike's true advantage goes much deeper than that. Number 4. Versatility. Here is why riders stop looking at other bikes. It commutes, it tours, it carries a passenger, it handles gravel without drama on the XT. It fits the city on Tuesday and the mountain on Saturday without changing a single thing about the bike. Every specialized machine extracts a cost. The sport bike punishes you on long hauls. The big GS makes you feel every slow-speed maneuver. The lightweight commuter runs out of capability the moment you leave town. The V-Strom asks for almost nothing in return and covers more ground than most riders will ever actually need. This is why so many riders regret going bigger. They get the spec sheet capability and lose the ease of everyday life in the process. The V-Strom hits a balance that is genuinely difficult to find and even harder to walk away from once you have actually felt it. And when a bike reaches that level of adoption, something else always follows. Number 3. Aftermarket support. Here's the part nobody tells you about budget adventure bikes. More than 2 decades of continuous production created more than 2 decades of dedicated product development built specifically around this platform. SW Motec, Touratech, Givi, Hepco, and Becker all carry full product lines for the V-Strom 650. Crash bars, skid plates, side cases, luggage racks, handguards, the catalog runs deep. Prices are competitive because the market is mature. You are not paying a premium for scarcity. You are choosing between multiple solid options at fair prices. There is also an owner community built over years of real riding. Long-running forum threads, genuine documentation, shared experience from people who have actually put the miles in. When something comes up, and eventually something always does, someone has already solved it and written it down. That accumulated knowledge is worth more than most buyers ever account for before they purchase. Which brings up something the spec sheet will never tell you. Number 2. Resale value. This is why people do not sell this bike. Clean, well-maintained V-Strom 650 examples typically retain between 60 and 75% of their original price depending on age, mileage, and condition. In a used market where some bikes lose half their value the moment they leave the dealership lot, that kind of retention signals something very real. It means buying used is not much of a gamble. It means if your situation changes, you recover a reasonable portion of what you spent. It means the sellers listing these bikes are mostly moving up, not trying to escape a problem. Markets reflect honesty in ways that brochures never do. A bike that holds its value is a bike that consistently met expectations. The V-Strom 650 has been doing exactly that for over 20 years without interruption. And all of it, the price, the range, the reliability, the versatility, the resale, points to one single conclusion. Number 1. The one bike argument. This is the one that actually matters. Most riders start somewhere and spend years chasing something better. More power, more technology, more capability. The upgrade cycle feels like progress. It usually is not. The V-Strom 650 has a way of ending that cycle not because it is the most capable machine on paper, because it is not. The electronics are basic compared to premium adventure bikes. It will not win a spec comparison against anything costing twice as much, but specifications do not govern what actually happens when you live with a motorcycle day after day. What governs that is much simpler. Does it start without anxiety? Does it handle Monday's commute and Sunday's mountain road without asking you to apologize for one of them? Do you trust it completely enough to just ride without thinking about it? The best bike is not the most powerful one. It is the one you actually ride. Riders who find that answer in the V-Strom 650 stop browsing. The tabs close. The comparisons stop making sense. The upgrade they were planning gets pushed back indefinitely. Not because they cannot afford to move on, but because they cannot honestly justify why they would. That is not a spec. That is not a feature. That is the whole point. Now tell me in the comments, are you still chasing the upgrade, or has a bike ever made you stop looking? And if this video made you seriously reconsider what your next bike should actually be, get a sneak peek at the most underrated adventure bikes flying completely under the radar right now. And the most surprising thing about it is that these are the bikes that seasoned riders quietly pick over machines costing twice as much, which is now popped on the upper left of your screen. Subscribe to Drive with Kelly, and I will see you in the next one.